patuloy na nagbibigay serbisyo. Pag-asa at saya. GMA Regional TV. Kapuso ng bawat Pilipino. This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News.
Good evening. This is your GMA Regional TV Weekend News. The biggest, the latest as local news matters. Teko Kam.
Sara Hilomen Velasco.
Real Soroche broadcasting live from GMA Complex in Davao City.
We'd like to welcome our Kapuso viewers from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Tonight, we will be joined by GMA Regional TV correspondents Russell Simorio of Balitang Amianan, Rain Palino of GMA Regional TV Bicol, and John Sala of One Western Visayas.
We also have our counterparts from other regions. Alan Domingo of Balitang Bisdak, Cyril Chavez of One Mindanao in Cagayan de Oro City, and John D. Esteban of One Mindanao in General Santos City.
The continuous downpour in Cebu for the past days resulted to floodings and landslides in Cebu's metro cities. For more details, we have Alan Domingo of GMA Regional TV, Balitang Bisdak Live. Alan.
Tech, because of the heavy downpour experienced in Cebu, Pag-asa issued the red rainfall advisory and warned the communities of floodings. In Cebu City, a big part of the mountain caved in and covered the road in the mountain barangay of Agsungot. Authorities believe that the landslide was a result of the successive rains and maybe due to the 6.6 magnitude quake that hit Masbate last August 18.
Nami gikuan lagi ini nga kaning amo lang ni ipakwari kay tungod kay hapit kada tuig labi na kusog kayo ang uwan magsige ni siya garya.
Cebu City officials together with a senior geologist of the Mines and Geosciences Bureau inspected the area last Thursday.
I-check po na to asa ni na aning fracturing, no? It's either if nabatay presence of structure, so mga mga details na kailangan namo i-research sa office, available maps namo like existing namo na geologic maps.
The City Council's Committee on Infrastructure will be submitting a recommendation.
Akong kanon ipabot ang report kang mayor, no? Total closure kita dire, temporary total closures. For the meantime, based on the assessment sa atong MGB, no, dili pa gyud siya feasible safety nga agya ng dalan.
The heavy downpour also resulted to flooding in Sitio Tungdon, Barangay Basag in Lapu-Lapu City. A 15-year-old male resident was electrocuted when he waded through rain water and accidentally touched the grounded electric post. Kent Vincent Hilig was immediately brought to the hospital.
Nakita man ko nga nagsiga ang poste, mutong nisyagit ko nga kanang sunog, tabang mutong namata akong uyuan ni tabang og kanang bubo sa kurente niya. Paniduol man siya diri dapit mao to na ni ground siya.
Nisyagit ang anak nga, halalay na lumos di. Didali ko ambak sa CR, dagan ko nga to kay akong giluwas. Sus karon ni ana siya, ni ana. Di pagdagan ako akong kuptan anak. Ni kurog mo ko, ni atras ko di. Kato sa kamigo na ko nagdagko hit.
The personnel of the concerned electric company immediately acted on the problem. In Mandaue City, some residents in 3 sitios of Barangay Pacnaan were evacuated last August 19. This was a preemptive measure by the Mandaue City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office when flood water levels were thigh deep. Strong currents were also observed in Butuanon River.
Riprap, sana siya sa flood control mitigation at kuan na siya kung overflow gid ang tungod sa dako bulog nga tubig. So gid siya lang kuan balay.
When the floodwater subsided before midnight, residents returned to their houses. In Talisay City, residents of Porok 3 in Barangay Puo complained of floodwaters that have not subsided for the past 2 weeks. They blame the structural development in their area that blocked the waterway. Since the deluge experienced 2 weeks ago, the area remained submerged in rainwater. The house of Lito Manigos was one of the 12 houses affected by floods in their area.
Kani gid diri mo gini agianan gid tubig na latanon gyud sa gikan dito sa sa kanal.
The neighbors helped each other by making a temporary canal or opening for the stagnant water to pass through. In a meeting with the Talisay City Mayor Samsam Gulyas, developers promised to take care of the drainage of nearby subdivisions they're working on to solve the flooding. Tech, unlike the past few days, Cebu has experienced fair weather condition today, but the local disaster office is urging people living in the flood and landslide-prone areas to remain vigilant. Tech.
Thank you, Alan Domingo.
4 houses were damaged in Davao City after a tornadic waterspout or ipo-ipo hits the coastal area of Barangay Sasa, Davao City Friday evening. This was what's left of the house of Editha Legisan. It was hit by a tornadic waterspout in Sitio Bolinao site, Kilometer 12, Barangay Sasa in Davao City. Editha said it was raining around 9 o'clock last night when she heard a loud sound. Then their house began to forcefully shake. After a few seconds of the onslaught, her house collapsed. Editha's husband, daughter, and grandchild were able to get out of the house unharmed. A total of 4 houses were damaged in the incident. 1 was totally destroyed, while 3 others were partially damaged. Around 4 families or 23 individuals were affected by the tornadic waterspout. The barangay officials have already extended their help, while the City Social Services and Development Office have already identified the affected families for financial assistance.
Itong balay na mo, murag giana, murag giuyog. Nya pagka mag-uyog ato, murag kalit mo, kuan jud siya ba, kanang mo kalit ugana, pag utro dindirit.
O kagaya na sikap, nag-anhin na po siya, kagaya nagdala na po siya food pack, na po diri, nakadala na po si Sir Bungguyan, o daghan itong mga pulis, daghan na po taga CSSD, o nakaanhin na po sila, ilan na pong na report na pod og ang mga pulis.
Masuyop niya ang naasayang ubos or ma-vacuum niya. Pero dinhi sa Philippines sir, dili lang gid maglast ang tornado o katong tawag nato nga tornadic water spout. Kay na-form siya tungod sa severe thunderstorms.
Magnitude 6.6 earthquake hit Masbate and Camarines Sur last Tuesday. For the update, we have Rain Palino of GMA Regional TV Bicol Live. Rain.
Real as of August 20, the initial damage of the 6.6 magnitude earthquake in Masbate is estimated at over 27 million pesos. Government assistance to the affected families continues. The 6.6 magnitude earthquake in Masbate last August 18 left structural cracks on roads, houses, and other public and private infrastructures across the province. Public establishments that sustained damages include the Public Attorney's Office, the old and new Katayngan Public Market, the docking area of Katayngan Port, and the Katayngan Municipal Police Station, based on a report by Katayngan Police. Sea intrusions and landslides were also reported by the Masbate PDRMO. Aside from this, a sea sinkhole appeared after the earthquake in POV Corpus, Masbate.
May report tayong natanggap na yun daw ay parang lupa na yung mga putik na dumaloy papuntang dagat. Kaya parang kakaiba ang itsura. Pero there is no declaration from the DENR that it is indeed a sinkhole.
Based on the assessment by the Office of the Civil Defense Bicol, damages and losses from the earthquake in Masbate province has reached 26,960,000 pesos, while more than 500,000 pesos in Camarines Sur. This includes the Panganiban Bridge in Nabua, Camarines Sur, which suffered minor cracks. Meanwhile, at least 1,956 affected individuals or 418 families from 5 municipalities were recorded. 51 of them have incurred minor injuries while 1 died. These residents are from the municipalities of Catayngan, Kawayan, Esperanza, Palanas, and PUV Corpus.
Measure po doon ng DOH, DILG, Office of Civil Defense, and other partner agencies po na doon po mismo sa Masbate, lalo na yung area na natamaan ay susunod pa rin sa ating health safety standards and yung protocols po natin for COVID-19.
As of 1 o'clock p.m. of August 21, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, has already recorded 325 aftershocks ranging from 1.6 to 5.2 magnitude. PHIVOLCS also clarified that the recent earthquake did not directly affect the 4 active volcanoes in the country: Mount Canlaon in Negros, Mount Taal in Batangas, and the 2 volcanoes near the vicinity of Masbate, the Mount Mayon in Albay and Mount Bulusan in Sorsogon.
Walang relasyon ang paglindol doon sa mga kondisyon ng 4 na bulkan na nasa alert level number 1. So hindi dahil nagkaroon ng earthquake ay nagka-abnormal activity ang mga bulkan. Nauna na sila. Ngayon, kung sakaling ang tanong naman ay may epekto ba yung lindol sa kasalukuyang kondisyon ng mga volcano, wala pa tayo nakikita.
Aside from distributing food packs and tents, the DSWD Bicol also gave 5,000 pesos to 31 families whose houses were totally damaged. Meanwhile, authorities advised the public to be prepared for the occurrence of earthquakes, especially in this time of COVID-19 pandemic. Rial?
Thank you, Rain Paulino.
Some areas in General Santos City have been placed on lockdown. John D. Esteban of GMA Regional TV 1 Mindanao will give us the details live. John D.
Sarah, despite being under modified general community quarantine, General Santos City has imposed border lockdown as COVID cases continue to rise. Specific areas in Barangay Bula in General Santos City were placed under lockdown after 2 residents tested positive for COVID-19. Authorities have barricaded entrances to these areas. Police are also roaming the area to ensure that residents stay inside their houses. Critical zones or areas on lockdown are a portion in Hapsay Street and a portion of Jensenville Subdivision, parts of Divina Gracia Street, all areas in Zone 7, and Pontino Street in Zone 4. No one is allowed to enter and leave these areas. On the other hand, the areas under MECQ or Containment Zone or areas where only essential workers are allowed to go out are Zones 3, 4, 5, 6, and Jensenville Phase 1A in Zone 7. Meanwhile, other areas are placed under buffer zone or areas with the same guidelines as areas under GCQ.
Then we were surprised for another case dun sa Jensenville naman. So sa Jensenville, the 58-year-old male, yung dalawa ngayon na patient, actually nasa sila ngayon, hospitals.
The LGU has already prepared the food assistance for almost 1,000 affected families. The city government lifted the lockdown in some areas in Barangay Apopong after barangay officials have completed contact tracing.
So iba naman yung iba po yung naging approach natin sa Bula kasi ang nangyari sa area naman ng Bula, from one zone, meron kasi talaga siyang unlike the Apopong na nagstay talaga siya na quarantine agad natin siya dun sa may area. Sa Bula kasi there was history of nag-visit siya sa relative niya sa kabilang zone.
However, the City Health Office also clarified that there is yet no local transmission in Jensan since there is still an ongoing investigation for one of the cases, while the other case has a history of travel to Glan, Sarangani Province, where there is a COVID-positive case.
Sa ngayon, wala pa tayong local transmission because according to our infectious disease expert and the rest of the members naman ng ating interagency task force, we are still able to directly link one case with the other.
The border lockdown is still imposed in the city, prohibiting non-essential travel to prevent the further transmission of COVID-19 to other areas and to fast-track contact tracing. Because of the lockdown, the income of drivers and dispatchers of public transportation has been affected.
Ginapababa nila kung inspeksyon, kung taga-asa ka, o dili ka taga-jinsan, dili ka kasulod.
So, kamo, epekto sa inyo ha?
Epekto sa mawajin yung pasahero.
Ang hitabo, murag, nahadlok ang mga pasahero, mga maadto diri.
Nihinay na po ang biyahe na mo karon. Halos panggasolina lang kung makuha.
The total number of confirmed cases in Jensen has increased to 54. 25 of these are active cases, and most of them are locally stranded individual and returning overseas Filipino. Sarah.
Thank you, John D. Esteban.
The Kadayawan Festival has kicked off in Davao City this week, although with a toned-down celebration due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sheila Vergara Rubio, GMA Regional TV 1 Mindanao, has the details.
The sound of the symbolic gong signaled the start of Davao City's grandest festival of the year, the Kadayawan Festival. Last Monday, Mayor Sara Duterte led the kick-off of the Kadayawan Digital Week celebration at the San Pedro Square, together with the tribal leaders of the city's 11 tribes.
Mao ni siya ang ato ang opening sa Kadayawan karong tuiga, and tanan ang ato ang mga activities in digital form, so online lang tanan.
Each year, the Kadayawan Festival honors the Davao City's 11 tribes. Usually by mid-August, Davaoenos gather to experience the culture and tradition of each tribe. But this year will be a unique celebration in the festival's 35-year history, since all activities will be done online due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Pero kami, amo na lang nagisabot tungod kay aman jud ning pandemya.
Nag-ampo jud ko para maluwas ang mga problema. Not only for our tribe, for the Lumad, for all of us.
Magpakita mi nga ang mga Muslim ug Lumads ay kanunay mag-celebrate sa Kadayawan Festivals.
Among the activities this year is the virtual tour of the Museo Davaoenyo that will take Davaoenos and tourists into the city's rich culture and historical heritage. Since the museum is temporarily closed due to COVID-19, a 3D virtual tour was created, the first of its kind in the city and in Mindanao. The tour is also interactive, where viewers can explore and navigate the 3D view, the museum, and its artifacts with pop-up descriptions. To experience the Museo Davaoenyo virtual tour, just click the link in the Museo Davaoenyo website and Facebook page. Another Kadayawan Festival highlight is the Kadayawan Village. Last year, crowds gathered at Magsaysay Park where replicas of tribal houses were installed so that one can experience the tribe's unique cuisine, tribal attire, and culture. This year, while Magsaysay Park is closed and only the caretakers of the tribal houses are allowed in the area, the City Tourism Office has organized a stay-at-home Kadayawan activity for each tribe.
No, doon na sila gatawag nga stay-at-home Kadayawan activity. No, kauban ng ilang pamilya na nagselebrar.
Meanwhile, with the cancellation of the major activities in this year's Kadayawan celebration, the sales of durian vendors in the city are greatly affected since they have fewer customers. Durian vendor Anita Pugado said that customers would usually start to visit their fruit stalls by early August. But this year, their sales dropped by more than 50%.
Mga first week of August, ma'am, arang-arang na gyud ang palitan na basta season na gyud siya. Pero karon wala gyud, mingaw gyud.
Among the activities that was cancelled was the annual Durian Festival, a venue for promoting durian and other tropical fruits during its peak season. With this, the Department of Agriculture 11 facilitated the signing of a memorandum of agreement between the Durian Industry Association of Davao City and a Davao-based company providing logistics services by bringing various products from Mindanao to Metro Manila and other parts of the country. Since there will be no tourists coming to the city during the durian peak season, the fruit needs to be transported to other major cities to minimize wastage. DA Region 11 has also coordinated with the mall to conduct durian market during weekends. Together with cameraman Leo Arcajes, I am Sheila Vergara Rubio for GMA Regional TV.
This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News. This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News.
As experts continue to develop vaccines to fight COVID-19, the number of infected persons continues to rise, with almost 23 million cases worldwide, while cases in the Philippines is now over 187,000. We have this report. The Johns Hopkins University and Medicine Coronavirus Resource Center logged 22,954,220 COVID-19 cases worldwide, while 14,715,412 have recovered, and the death toll is at 799,350. In the Philippines, 4,933 new infections were recorded today, bringing the total of COVID-19 cases to 187,249, while recoveries are also steadily increasing at 114,921 with 2,966 deaths. In North Central Luzon, there are 5,387 COVID-19 confirmed cases, 2,917 recoveries, and 167 deaths. According to the latest report from the DOH Center for Health Development, Region 1 has 607 confirmed COVID-19 cases. Region 3 or Central Luzon now has 4,137 COVID-19 cases. 643 confirmed cases were recorded in the Cordillera region. In Bicol Region, current confirmed COVID-19 cases is at 1,005, with 442 recoveries and 30 deaths. 358 of them are from Albay, 377 in Camarines Sur, 31 in Camarines Norte, 85 in Sorsogon, 39 in Catanduanes, and 115 in Masbate. The region's recent COVID-19 death case is tagged as patient number 829, a 65-year-old female from Buhi, Camarines Sur, who died on August 19 due to critical pneumonia and stage renal disease. In Central Visayas, there are 18,246 COVID-19 positive cases, 3,049 of which are active. 14,136 have recovered and 1,061 have died. 4,197 cases are in Cebu Province, 126 in Negros Oriental, 131 in Bohol, and 3 cases were recorded in Siquijor. In Metro Cebu cities, 9,485 cases of COVID-19 is in Cebu City, 2,166 in Mandaue City, while Lapu-Lapu City has 2,138 confirmed cases. In Eastern Visayas, according to DOH Region 8, a total of 2,053 COVID cases are recorded, with 1,303 recoveries and 9 deaths. Leyte has the most number of cases in Region 8 with 777. Samar has 645, Southern Leyte has 201, Biliran with 63, Northern Samar with 59, and 38 positive cases in Eastern Samar. 175 are from Tacloban City, while 95 are from Ormoc City. In Western Visayas, COVID-19 cases increased to 3,257. Of these, 1,746 are active cases. 1,458 have already recovered, while the death toll increased to 53. Aklan has 9 confirmed cases, 25 in Antique, 18 in Capiz, 33 in Guimaras, 308 in Iloilo Province, and 277 in Negros Occidental. OFW repatriates and locally stranded individuals still record the most number of cases with 1,472. Meanwhile, Bacolod City recorded 446 confirmed cases, while COVID-19 cases in Iloilo City increased to 669. In Mindanao, a total of 5,442 confirmed COVID-19 cases were reported. 3,588 have recovered, and the death toll is now at 136. Davao Region has recorded a total of 1,878 confirmed COVID-19 cases, 1,341 recoveries, and 61 deaths. Meanwhile, confirmed COVID-19 cases in northern Mindanao rose to 1,069, while the number of recoveries has increased to 566 and 16 have died. Soxargen has reported 383 confirmed cases, 291 recoveries, and 5 deaths. Zamboanga Peninsula now has 1,111 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the region. 608 have recovered, while the death toll is at 36. Caragas also recorded 420 confirmed cases, 333 recoveries, and 4 deaths. In Barm, there are a total of 581 confirmed COVID-19 cases, 449 recoveries, and 14 deaths. I am Sara Hilomen Velasco for GMA Regional TV.
More barangays in Iloilo City were placed on lockdown as COVID-19 cases continue to rise. Meanwhile, military forces were tapped to augment efforts to ensure citizen compliance to quarantine protocols. John Sala of GMA Regional TV 1 Western Visayas tells us more in this report live. John!
Iloilo City was placed under general community quarantine as cases for COVID-19 continue to escalate. And to ensure that quarantine protocols are strictly followed, security measures were strengthened in COVID-19 hotspots in the city. From MGCQ, the city of Iloilo was again placed under general community quarantine from August 16 to 31 after a drastic increase in COVID-19 cases. Many of these were recorded at the Iloilo Fish Port Complex and in some BPO companies. As of today, there are a total of 641 cases of local transmission in the city. To address the rapid increase of COVID-19 cases, barangays identified as hot spots were placed under surgical or total lockdown. 10 barangays were placed under surgical or selective lockdown, wherein only a portion or specific area where the cases are recorded are isolated, while 3 barangays were placed under total lockdown, wherein the whole barangay is temporarily closed. These are Barangay Rizal Estanzuela and Rizal Palapalados at the city proper, and Barangay San Juan in the district of Molo. About 600 households were affected by the lockdown in Barangay Rizal Estanzuela since Wednesday.
Kailangan masulod na yaton ng mga contact tracing team, no? After nga makasulod ang contact tracing team naton kag ma-identify na kung ano kalapad ang exposure sa atong mga positive cases dira, that's the time nga ma-recommend kita kumbaga ipadili naton sa lockdown, total lockdown o surgical lockdown.
20 military personnel from the 61st Infantry Battalion have been deployed in these hotspots since Saturday to augment police efforts in securing areas placed on lockdown and to ensure compliance to quarantine protocols.
Very much willing na mag-extend ng aming services sa mga tao dito sa Iloilo. Lalo na maniniwala din naman namin ay dapat tayong magtulungan sa gitna ng pandemya. Makakaasa po ang lahat ng patuloy na suporta mula sa Philippine Army sa mga katulad ng mga gawain ng Iloilo City.
10 Army personnel were assigned to areas in Iloilo City proper, while 5 each were deployed in Molo and Mandurriao District.
Ang 20 nga ni kang personnel sa Philippine Army mag-work hand in hand ini sa mga kapulisan sa kung diin in charge, especially sa pagpatuman sang istriktong pagpatuman sa mga quarantine protocol, no?
One of the Army personnel assigned in Halandoni Street City proper says that residents are cooperative and willingly follow protocols.
Wala pa man sir sang insidente nga natabo. Nagasunod naman sila sir sa aton mga kapulisan sir.
The deployment of Army troops is in accordance with the direction of the Iloilo City's Chief of Police. Additional forces from the AFP will be deployed if requested by the Iloilo City government to further augment efforts to address the rise in COVID-19 cases. COVID-19 designated areas in some hospitals in the city of Iloilo are already stretched to their limits. In addition to this, more and more healthcare workers are getting infected with the virus. Because of this, the Iloilo City government calls for cooperation and strict adherence to quarantine protocols to help stop the spread of the virus.
Thank you, John Sala.
Zamboanga City is now under MGCQ, while a sale at a shoe store in Cagayan de Oro City led to violations in health protocols. More from Cyril Chavez of GMA Regional TV 1 Mindanao. Live, Cyril.
Yes, Real, Zamboanga City has lifted its Sunday lockdown since it was placed under MGCQ, while the local government units of Davao and Cagayan de Oro placed some areas under lockdown after COVID cases spike, and authorities took action after a shoe store sale violated health protocols. The Zamboanga City government lifted its Sunday lockdown after the city was placed under modified general community quarantine from August 16 to 31. However, curfew hours are still in effect from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Only workers, those who will buy food and medicine, and those with emergencies are allowed to go out. However, those below 21 years old and above 60 years old, immunocompromised, and pregnant are advised to stay home. Some indoor and outdoor non-contact sports and exercises are allowed, such as walking, jogging, running, biking, golf, swimming, tennis, badminton, equestrian, range shooting, and skateboarding, but health protocols must be followed. Mass gatherings are also allowed, such as movie screenings, concerts, sporting events, and other entertainment activities, including religious services and work conferences, but only 50% of the seating capacity is allowed. In Davao City, due to the rapid increase in COVID-19 cases in Barangay Tomas Monteverde in Igdao, the city government placed Purok 8 in the barangay under hard lockdown since Monday. This after 65 residents were infected in a short span of time. Barangay Captain Robert Diaz said that they are monitoring the area 24/7 with the help of the police to ensure that no one goes in and out of the barangay. Food packs were distributed to over 200 individuals affected by the lockdown. In Cagayan de Oro City, 3 areas were placed on focused containment zone after some residents tested positive for COVID-19. In Sitio Makapaya in Barangay Kamaman-an, around 412 families were affected by the lockdown after a 23-year-old female tested positive for COVID-19. Acacia Extension in Zone 7 Barangay Carmen was also placed on lockdown after a 69-year-old male tested positive for COVID-19. The patient and his close contacts are now isolated in a temporary treatment and monitoring facility of the city. Tighter security measures are also being implemented in a portion of Purok 4, Sitio Santa Cruz in Barangay Kamaman-an after a 69-year-old man was infected with COVID-19 and died last August 15. The Cagayan de Oro City Health Office is continuing its contact tracing efforts to contain the spread of the virus. Food relief packs were distributed to families placed on quarantine.
Provisions, food pack, and then kanang intensified surveillance, and of course, automatic ang pag-extract katong sa mga members sa household.
Meanwhile, a sale at a shoe store in Cagayan de Oro City caused crowds to gather. Shoppers wore face masks and face shields, but social distancing wasn't observed. The Cagayan de Oro LGU through the Regulatory Compliance Board stopped the event and temporarily closed the mall that day. Mayor Oscar Moreno said that while he understands that businesses need to create strategies to earn, he reiterated the need to follow minimum health standards. In a statement, the mall admitted that some health protocols were not followed but assured that they share the same goal with the government in fighting COVID-19. In the light of the incident, the city's Regulatory Compliance Board advised establishments to adhere to minimum health protocols and coordinate any activity that could draw crowds.
Ilagin ng bantayan nga mapatuman. Otherwise, sama sa naitabo lately, gi-advise gid nato nga ipaundang.
The Department of Trade and Industry Misamis Oriental confirmed that the store has a permit to conduct a sale, although after the incident, they will now strictly monitor such activities.
Easily, ang 8,000 worth na himo ng 1,400. Ang ako, it's very beneficial man sa consumer.
Yeah.
But ang wala lang tingali gid na anticipate ang ingon ato kadako nga crowd og wala na klaro og implement ang katong ilang gi-undertake nga ilang gyud dapat i-observe.
Real authorities are now continuously urging the public to follow minimum public health standard, especially now that more activities are allowed in MGCQ areas here in Mindanao. Real.
Thank you, Cyril Chavez.
In Cebu, on the first week of implementing the mandatory wearing of face shield by commuters, authorities noted 90% compliance. Meanwhile, more than 1,000 vehicle owners have availed of the drive-through vehicle registration in Region 7. Here's the report of Nico Sereno of GMA Regional TV, Balitang Bisdak.
Starting August 15, the government required the use of face shields in public transportation and in the workplace. This is still part of the government's efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19 while businesses are slowly resuming operations. In Cebu, a week into the implementation of the new guidelines, the Land Transportation Office noted 90% compliance in the wearing of face shields.
Wala nag-face shield ang usa ka pasahero, unya gipugos siya og sakay, ang driver wa nakabantay nga nakasakay siya or ang konduktor wa sad siya nabantay, ang makamulta ang driver ug ang operator.
Yesterday, the wearing of face shields has also become mandatory when going to commercial places such as shopping malls. Meanwhile, LTO Region 7 reported that over 3,000 individuals availed of the drive-through renewal of vehicle registration. This service was affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The agency launched the drive-through program in July in Barangay Subangdako, Mandaue City. LTO now plans to open the same service in the southern part of Cebu Province. Aside from this, the LTO also opened a text line where motorists can send their queries instead of physically going to the office.
Kung ang imong tuyo, mga na kabayan sa imong apprehension na separate na text line, registro na separate na text line, licensing na separate na text line. Unya naghimo pagid ta og kanang gitawag na new registration na text line.
For single motorcycle drivers who need a driving course certificate, LTO will also open a driver's education center this month. Together with cameraman June Solon, I am Nico Sereno for GMA Regional TV.
This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News. This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News.
The Department of Agriculture has imposed a temporary ban on the importation of domestic and wild birds and their products from Australia due to avian influenza. Russell Simorio of GMA Regional TV Balitang Amyanan tells us more live. Russell.
Sara, the Department of Agriculture implemented safety measures to prevent the spread of bird flu that was detected in Australia, while some provinces continue to implement safety measures to prevent the spread of African swine fever. Following a reported outbreak of avian influenza in Australia, the Department of Agriculture enforced a temporary ban on the importation of Australian poultry products. In a memorandum order released by the DA, the entry of domestic and wild birds including poultry meat, day-old chicks, and eggs from Australia are not allowed to entry into the Philippines. The Australian government reported that the H7N7 or highly pathogenic avian influenza virus started in Lethbridge, Victoria on July 24. Engineer Rosendo So, chairman of the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG, said that the government should implement stricter measures to prevent the bird flu.
Yung first border inspection dapat ayusin na para at least lahat ng kargamento na papasok is 100% full inspection. Sa ngayon wala tayong pasilidad na ini-inspect itong mga kargamento.
Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture Regional Office 1 guaranteed a sufficient supply of chicken products despite the implementation of temporary ban.
Ang nakikita ko po sir, pag chicken meat, sufficiente po tayo. Pero pagka eggs po, nanggagaling pa ng Region 3 kasi kulang pa rin yung egg production natin.
Meanwhile, in Mangaldan, Pangasinan, the price of pork went up as high as 250 pesos per kilo this week. The price hike is due to a shortage of supply due to African swine fever. The Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura said the suggested retail price on pork meat products should be observed.
Kinompute natin ng Department of Agriculture with stakeholders at yung mga biyahero kung ano yung live weight price. Kunyari 140 ang live weight plus 80 pesos.
Ilocos Sur recorded its first case of African swine fever in Barangay Baryuan, Tagudin, Ilocos Sur. Local authorities immediately implemented a lockdown for 14 days, which started on August 12, but the provincial veterinarian suggested a 1-month lockdown to prevent further spread of ASF.
Sa technical na recommendation nila, it would take 14 days. Pero kung ako yan, 1 month ko sana.
Concerned authorities depopulate 81 native pigs from ground zero to a 500-meter radius. They believe that the practice of swill feeding was the main source of ASF infection in the area.
Madamit lang feeds na pero limited lang, tapos more on toyo. Nagiling nga mais, ilotok.
In Davao City, the City Veterinarian's Office intensified their monitoring in all wet markets in the city after they found traces of ASF in some samples of chorizo, tocino, and lumpiang Shanghai sold in Bangkerohan Public Market, from July 30 to August 5. However, samples of the same pork products sold in Agdao, Turil, Mintal, Kalinan, Panacan, and Tibungco public markets were found to be ASF negative. In Cagayan de Oro City, the City Veterinary Office is strictly monitoring online sellers who sell pork products from ASF-infected areas. This after some neighboring areas such as Davao Region and North Cotabato were found to be affected by ASF. A number of chorizo, longanisa, ham, and other pork products were confiscated. Authorities call on online sellers to go through the legal process and must have a business permit. Sara, just this week, the Department of Agriculture also issued a temporary ban on the importation of pork products from Brazil after reports of COVID-19 contamination. Sara.
Okay, thank you, Russell Simorio.
In Dagupan City, delicious home-baked cupcakes that looks like a cactus plant. GMA Regional TV Balitang Amianan's Claire Lacalinao tells us more.
While plantitos and plantitas are crazy for their beautiful plants, Jenny of Karanglaan, Dagupan City is busy crafting her cupcakes into a replica of a coveted plant by homeliners. Instead of planting cactus, Jenny bakes cupcakes and designs her icings like these succulents.
Sa panahon ngayon, since nung nag-start ang pandemic, nahilig yung mga plantitas natin na magtanim-tanim. So, naisip ko, yun ang gawin kong concept ngayon na yun ang maging team, mga cactus.
To the plantitos and plantitas out there, get your pen and paper and jot down the recipe for cactus cupcake. In a bowl, sift all-purpose flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, and a bit of salt. In another bowl, mix brown sugar, evaporated milk, and vegetable oil. Add some eggs and mix thoroughly. Next, combine the dry and wet mixture into one bowl. Add warm water and vanilla extract, then mix. When the mixture is ready, set the oven to 160 degrees Celsius and put in the cupcakes for 25 minutes. For the icing, mix the whipped cream until it becomes light and fluffy. Add some food coloring according to the design, and you can now decorate the cactus cupcake.
Tama lang po yung lasa niya. Okay lang po yung tamis niya. Hindi siya nakakaumay. Maganda po ito sa mga birthday occasions. Pang-gift, gano'n.
Together with cameraman Ron Alistair Taniedo, I am Claire Lacanilao for GMA Regional TV.
GMA Regional TV continues to share its blessings with our Kapuso all over the Philippines. Here's a roundup of our Kapuso Barangayan on Wheels from Luzon to Visayas and Mindanao.
Evangeline Bayer of Barangay Sinalok in El Salvador City, Misamis Oriental, was grateful to be among the hundreds of beneficiaries of the first Kapuso Barangayan on Wheels in the province. The food pack she received was a big help, especially during this pandemic.
Ako nagkikinakatabang sa mga pariyan nga nagkalisod karon panahon sa COVID nga wala gid mi mahimong trabaho.
In Barangay 76-A Davao City, Christine May Fresco, a laundry woman with 4 children, was also happy to receive her Kapuso food pack.
Lisod kayo siya ma'am tungod sa atong calamity karon na COVID. Mao nang walay trabaho. Dakong tabang pud ma'am kay maka pud may survive may karong adlaw na inyong gihatag sa amoa.
54-year-old Visitacion Baguio of Barangay Calawisan in Lapu-Lapu City raises her 9 children through fishing and harvesting seaweeds. Despite the hardships, she tries hard to send some of her children to school.
Dadali pun midagan al malista mi apil na usay maawahe madin ang malista kay mahurhutda naman na gulay. Nagpasalamat pud dako nga akon paborito gulay.
Gemma Daliwan of Barangay Banawang, Kalasyaw, Pangasinan remains hopeful that this too shall pass. That's why she is grateful for the help she received.
Thank you po kay Lord, tapos sa GMA Regional TV.
Evangeline, Christine, Visitacion, and Gemma are just some of our Kapuso who, despite the pandemic, strive hard to provide a decent life for their families. And so, GMA Regional TV also gives its best to reach out to as many people across the Philippines through the Kapuso Barangayan on Wheels. Anchors and correspondents from GMA Regional TV 1 Mindanao, Balitang Bisdak, and Balitang Amianan worked hand in hand to repack and write messages of hope to encourage our Kapuso to brave the tide. In each of the venue, our Kapuso team, wearing their personal protective equipment, disinfected the area. Each and every beneficiary had to go through strict health protocols. Everyone wore their face mask, had their body temperatures checked, sanitized their hands, and observed social distancing. And as the food packs were handed to them, we saw their faces light up. These smiles will serve as our fuel to continue bringing the Kapuso Barangay on Wheels on to our next destination. This is GMA Regional TV's way of celebrating GMA Network's 70th anniversary to bring serbisyong totoo all over the country.
Daghang salamat sa GMA Regional TV! Woo!
I'm Teco Campo for GMA Regional TV.
This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News. This is GMA Regional TV Weekend News.
We would like to thank everyone from around the Philippines for watching tonight's episode. You can watch this episode and more on GMA Regional TV's official YouTube channel. Just click the subscribe button to get the hottest news from the regions.
And that was the biggest and the latest news from the regions.
Thank you for joining us, and from all of us here in Mindanao,
This has been GMA Regional TV Weekend News, where local news matters. Stay home, stay safe.